I was back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah. The spirit of the woods is like an old good friend, makes me feel warm and good inside. And I knew his name, and it was good to see him again, 'cause in the wind he's still alive. Oh, Fred Bear, walk with me down the trails again. Take me back.
Well, I gotta tell you guys, this is some of the hottest crappie fishing we've been on this whole year. This place never ever lets you down. It's unbelievable. Take a look at the Vexlar right now. We're in 8.7 feet of water. I don't know if you can see that, but those are all crappie. Here we go. We're rocking tungsten jig with a Mackie spiky on it. Green. I don't think it really matters what color it's on. Just fishing down, just a little bit underneath the ice. I can't even see my jig. It looks like I'm fishing in thick weeds right now. Shake it a little bit. They're coming up for it now. There's one on it now. Look at the size of these fish. You know, we haven't caught anything over 13 inches today, but it's cookie cutter 11, 12, 12 and a half inches. Cookie cutters. They're stacked up on the Vex. We're at a different hole here. These fish are cruising. There's a lot of fish, but they are on the move. We're drilling a lot of holes today. Catching a few fish at each hole. Then they seem to move on. It's not that they don't want to bite, it's that they just move on. These fish are on a mission. He's got them stacked up. Let's see if we can get him to catch one. He's been yanking, trying to get me over here.
There's one.
Dude, that's a toad. Get that one.
Nice.
Nice. That's probably, I'd say it's a 12-incher right there. Yeah, that's a nice fish. So what are you rocking?
Tungsten jig with a white spiky.
Yep, just running that spiky. Alright guys, so there's a lot of fish down here, but these fish are cruising. So we're constantly hole hopping. We got a lot of holes, so we may catch 1 or 2, 3 fish to a hole, and then they'll move. It's not that we're not catching them, it's that you just need to get to the next hole. It could be 5 feet away, it could be 3 feet away. So we're basically, the key here today was to cut a bunch of holes, and we're pushing these fish. When we're cutting, we're actually spooking these fish, but we're spooking them back over our other holes. So we're taking advantage of all the holes that we drilled earlier. Just in the amount of time that I was talking to you there, these fish have moved off the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually move to another hole. We got some other holes right here. And come this way with me. Let's see if we can find some fish. If we're not seeing fish, we're not even fishing these holes, because that's how fast these fish are moving today. Not much there. Stacked right here. The key is to get it down there while they're still there. Another thing that's not helping us out today is that the ice is bare here, so we're making a lot of noise moving around with our ice cleats. A little 9.5 incher. We actually got a youngster out here today, and he's never used a Vexlar before, and he's over here. You can kind of take a look over here. He just caught a nice one. He is hooked. Needless to say, our friend John doesn't have a Vexlar now. Here comes one coming up. yeah, these fish have cruised. I think what we're going to do is we're going to pause here. We're going to drill some holes. We need to go. They've been pushing that way, so stay tuned for some more fishing.
Doing a zigzag pattern, trying to find where these fish move.
I just caught a nice fish here. There's a bunch more stacked down there. We're gonna see if we can get another one. Boy, they're bubbling down there. Hopefully they don't move out on us. Oh, here comes one. Right there. Lost another toad. These fish. Boy. Oh, there's a hero fish right there, brother.
Look at that.
He inhaled that poxy drop. I switched over. We were using that green before, and I switched over to a Super Jamie, one of the newest baits from Mackie Plastic. Not even really out yet. We're just testing these baits right now, and as you can see, he inhaled that. And what it is it's just basically the typical Jamie. Oh, get out of the sun here. Just a typical Jamie that you're used to, but it's just a bigger profile. So when you start fishing with these bigger tungsten jigs, it just looks like there's a little more meat there on the hook for you. So this one actually is like a clear with a red flake on it. This has been killer for me. So I'm gonna get back down there, see if I can catch another one. While we're chasing these fish down here, guys. Clam edge augers in the back, shredding holes for us. These fish are moving so fast. What great fish there is down here. This is amazing fishery. That one coming up right now. They're a little spooked right now because we're still drilling the holes with the auger. So they're just cruising around here. And what there is a little narrow channel here. This isn't like we're fishing a deep hole. We're actually fishing this channel. And these fish are all stacked in this channel. And they're just cruising up and down. That's why we're, sometimes we're only getting a couple fish out of a hole, but we're getting some nice fish. Every once in a while, we'll catch them on a corner or someplace where they'll stay up, or maybe we're at the head of the pack. When we're at the head of the pack, that's when we're really, catching the most fish out of the hole. But if you don't stay on top of these fish, and you don't drill the holes like we're doing right now, you're gonna get behind these fish, and then you got to try to find them again. It's a long area here. This isn't a huge setback, but it does have a lot of channel in it where we're chasing these fish down. This isn't typically, when we're fishing these setbacks, we're looking for deep water, which we are in now. But we're looking for deep holes and deep pockets. This isn't. This is just basically a basin in the middle of a channel. So we're fishing that deeper water. Sometimes these fish push to the left, sometimes they fish to the right. So we're kind of running a zigzag hole pattern. We got one person going ahead with the Vexlar, and he's checking. And once we find fish, we stop, let it get quiet, and we pound on them. And then when these fish start to slow up, usually you can kind of tell if they're over that way, they're moving that way, or if they're back this way by who's catching fish and who's not. So that just determines the next way we go. If we're pushing out through this channel, we're constantly drilling holes ahead. Sometimes these fish have been turned around and start to go back. We're actually backtracking in our holes that we had before. So every hole that we're putting in here, we may fish it now and only be able to fish it for 2 or 3 fish, but that might be a good hole again. And we're basically laying groundwork. So after we get these holes, we push them all the way out to the end. They don't go out into the main river. They actually just turn around and they come right back down through, or they stay in an area. And that's what you got to do. You got to chase them. So all these holes that we're drilling, we may fish them for a couple minutes, have to leave them alone, but later we might be able to reap the reward. So stay tuned for some more fish. I got to find a different hole. Come down there, Elm?
Yeah.
That took a long time. A good one?
Yeah. That's the same one.
Nice. Cookie cutters. They do all look alike, don't they?
Yep.
Oops, get a little sun in there.
It's about a 12-inch.
Nice. Got more on the graph?
Yep. See if I can get one to go here. Beautiful here. Mackie, white and spiky, seems to be putting them on the ice today. Jamie's hooked up. Ooh.
Dude, look at the Vexy. The Vexy's stacked them. You can get right back down there and get another one.
Just moved to a new hole. There's one. Ooh, that feels good. Nice. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. He'll eat. Feels big. Ooh. Nice. Look at that. What a beautiful fish. Nice. Filled it with sludge. Other one. Nice. Another nice jumbo. Look at them. Beautiful, beautiful fish. White spiky. They've been loving it, tipped with one spike. Stacked. Down there now. I'm gonna bring it up about another foot. There he goes. Nice. Nice fish. What a beauty. The fish will come into the jig and pause there, and you try stopping it, they won't touch it, or they'll barely peck at the tail. I just start swimming that jig up another foot or two, and they smash it then. It's a little tip today. But that spiky right there with one spike on it, that seems to be the ticket. Mackie Plastics. Ooh, that one was a little one, but Where there's these, there's those. Beautiful fish. Still fish down there. Another little tip, if I got fish down there and I bring them up and that fish doesn't commit and I see another fish on the flasher, I'll drop down below that one to try to trigger that bite of the one underneath it. And that usually gets them to trigger. Okay, I got fish. There's one. This one feels like a big one. Ooh, what is it? Nice.
Oh, don't lift that one.
No.
You got lucky, Ian.
Oh my God. Look at these. Look at how beautiful. It's an absolute giant. Nice.
There's one. Look at this. Look at that. Look how stacked it is down there.
Oh. Nice.
Nice. Probably a 10-incher. I want to get down there, hit it stacked before they move on. It's like speed fishing. Here comes one of this.
Nice.
Boy, we're having a blast down here today catching these fish. Man, it's just one right after another. It's unbelievable. I'm using the bigger, actually, because it's so crucial to get back down there because these fish are moving so fast, I actually upsized to this bigger clam epoxy drop. And it's helping me actually get a few more fish out of a hole. So while I'm talking here, these fish are probably moving on. So I'm going to get this one back down here. And
Oh, you're gonna have 50.
now there's nothing on the screen right now, but sometimes if they're just outside the cone, yep, they're right there again. Look at this. This one's just charging. Back to the 10-inch ones here. Back down there real quick. Get it right back down there as fast as you can. Still see one on the screen there. Not sure if you can see that or not, but yeah. Shake it, shake it. This one's coming right up for it. Shake it. Oh, swing and a miss. Oh, he's still there. Fish are so aggressive. Boy, these fish are aggressive. Oh. Right on it. Oh, that one was victim to the transducer. I can still see it flopping in the hole down there. You know they're good ones when they have a hard time turning around in an 8-inch hole. I'm going to get right back down there and see if I can get another one. Now there's not much on the screen right now, so before I move I'm going to rip this up and down. And you know, when you're fishing in shallow water, your cone is only so big. So just because you don't see any fish down there doesn't mean there isn't something, you know, right over here. They could be just up underneath the ice. So if you're on these fish and then they tend to move off the screen, I always give it one last go before I move on, because they might just be outside, just starting to move, and you know, they might come right back in. In this case, I drop back down and there's nothing there. So I'm gonna give it 1 second here and see if anything appears. Work the water column all the way up to see if any scragglers there, or if they moved up following that other fish. But what probably happened there is that fish that got off, he scooted and they scooted with him. So we're gonna go to the next hole. Yeah, there's one in there. So as always, you know, you want to make sure that that line is pulled towards that hook so that jig hangs nice and horizontal. You know, it's no new trick. We've been preaching this a lot, but it's something you never want to forget. There's one on the graph right there. Get it down there. Here comes one screaming right up for it. Ooh, he just bumped it. That wind's starting to pick up a little bit now. Look at this fish. Oh, we come off right there at the hole. As you can see, I mean, these are 8-inch holes here that we're fishing with, and I mean, this fish is a good 4 or 5 inches past it. So, you know, we're not getting, you know, a lot of 14, 15-inch crappies here. We're getting these, and these fish. I mean, look at this. Look at the shoulders on these fish. These, I mean, I'll catch these all day long. These are beautiful fish. That wind's picked up. It's kind of gotten more overcast now. We found today that it's kind of reverse as what it usually is. When the sun comes out, these fish were pounding good, and now that it's getting cloudy and this overcast and the wind's picking up, these fish are getting tougher. You know, it's a lot more chase. You know, really, you know, get right down there and chase, and get them to lift. I mean, I got 2 marks right here, and they don't want to do nothing. They're finally chasing here. They're coming up and they're stopping, and then they're going back down, and then they're coming up and they're stopping. And I always say the whole chase game is kind of like, you know, when the dog chases the car. When you're, oh, here comes one. When the dog's chasing the car, there's one. Just a small one, but he bit. So when you're playing the chase game, basically you want to treat it like we've all been driving down the road and the neighbor's dog runs out and he starts chasing you down the road. Well, if you stop, you know, he usually stops. If you keep going and you go too fast, you know, he usually stops. That's why you speed up. But if you go just that right speed down the road, he'll follow you all the way down the road. And that's kind of what you want to do with these fish, and hopefully that they catch up with you while you're going. That's what I'm doing with this fish right here. He's coming up, and I'm just getting him to lift. If I stop, he's going to go back down. If I go too fast, he's going to go back down. But because I just want that full speed right there, there's another nice one. So, well, it's getting windy. The overcast is coming. We've had a blast. We're keeping fish today. These fish are getting filleted up and going back with Elmer to help fill up his freezer a little bit. And I just want to thank all you guys for tuning in and watching this. I know some of these tips might be redundant to some of you guys, but some of these tips that we shared today hopefully will help you catch more fish. So thank you guys very much, and be safe. This is last ice is coming. Just remember, check that ice and treat it like it's first ice conditions again. I got another one coming up on the Vex. Let's see if he's gonna bite. But you know, make sure this time of the year you're back. You know, bring your rope. Don't go fishing alone. Check that ice. Just remember, no ice is safe ice. So, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.
I was back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. The spirit of the woods is like an old good friend, makes me feel warm and good inside. And I knew his name, and it was good to see him again, 'cause in the wind he's still alive. Oh, Fred Bear, walk with me down the trails again. Take me back where I belong. Oh, Fred Bear, I'm glad to have you at my side, my friend. And I'll join you in the big hunt before too long. Before too long.